So the
And
bottom line, just to like accumulate what we've covered today, movement is everything because like a stationary Seph is really vulnerable. It makes up for our committal everythings as well. Um,
yeah,
we kind of have to burn our sword if I'm not mistaken. Like I guess that means be comfortable with Nair, obviously, but not jab
yeah.
as well, right? I don't know. Or
Be comfortable, parry, jab, parry, down tilt, parry, up tilt,
right.
being comfortable with neutral, being comfortable with slingshot.
Okay.
Uh, it's kind of like the perspective of, if I do this back here towards you, it's very valuable for the situation after if it hits because I'm just pushing my advantage and I'm closer to you. But this slingshot forward air is super valuable because it's faster and I'm repositioning for the next scenario.
Okay.
Um, it's all about that. And for the sword moves, it's kind of like my general rule of thumb is I need some sort of insurance or advantage to justify using them in
Right.
like a swing first kind of perspective.
So you usually wait for some resource to be spent before you commit to anything. Is that correct?
Yeah, even if it's really small, like their shield isn't as healthy as mine. Like it's not necessarily like they've spent anything,
So
but it makes it easier for me to justify the button press.
how are you playing from behind? Because this game's very stubborn now in the later meta.
Yeah,
Like someone
it's
is
a good
just
question.
totally okay to be like, I'll fucking just watch whatever's on my second monitor and never approach. I have a B
Yeah,
button right here. It's
yeah,
silly.
I think that's a great point. And for things like that, it comes down to not even like a Sephiroth thing. It kind of comes down to pacing a game of Smash in general,
Oh,
because the
okay.
clock is one of the most important resources for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things especially when I first started doing Metafy lessons, I would try
By the
to
way, you
teach
have
them
seven
both.
minutes. Go. I don't know
Yeah,
why people don't register the UI in this game.
yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the time, people don't look at it or anything, but the clock is kind of everything for me to help dictate my pacing.
Okay.
Because first, it comes down to teaching the idea of playing from a deficit and playing with a lead, and I'm always trying to teach the perspective of that it's just two sides of the same coin,
Yep.
and a lot of the skills that come with one come with the other. Um, and I have a lot of experience with Wario over the years. I've played him in like a bunch of different Smash games, and like obviously the clock is a resource for him with like Waft,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm always trying to teach that like it can be used for anyone. The situation I'm always using is if I lose the first stock and there's 5.5 minutes left, I'm not gonna play like I'm at a deficit. There's so much time that I'm just gonna play like it's even.
Okay.
But if I lose the stock and there's 2 minutes left, now I have to start weaving commitments into my gameplay because I can't afford to treat the game like I'm winning or it's even.
Yeah.
And
The amount of coming back from like a 1 to 3 and then still getting the win with this character, it's made me realize that like the game isn't over until it's over. Oh,
exactly, and uh, essentially you want to use the clock as a way to test your opponent to do these things in the first place. Because I think a lot of people play this game very black and white in the sense of if I'm at an advantage, I don't have to approach, and if I'm at a deficit, I have to approach, and they don't use the clock as a way to like kind of pace that because it's
mm,
not like they're wrong, but they're treating it way too simple in the sense of like that's why like when I'm playing, when I'm in the corner, I'll corner myself for so long just to see if my opponent truly knows the advantage they have. Because you'd be
oh,
surprised how many great players will just approach the corner, try to grab you, dash attack into you, and you're just going to land the most valuable hit ever because it's in the corner or something like that.
yeah, back
Uh,
air or back air
so
is just a good one there. Can we play a round where you just
yeah,
like
absolutely.
rip apart what my habits are? Or if we have time
So,
for two, I would appreciate that as
yeah,
well.
that's fine. It's kind of the same thing as basically what I'm saying is you want to test your opponent's ability to hold a lead. You don't want to just start running into them because you're at a deficit.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see if they're even comfortable with a lead. Because holding a lead is just as difficult as bringing a game back from a deficit in terms of the pacing that goes into it. So I'm
Yeah,
always willing, even if I'm losing, I'm always willing to test my opponent to see if they really have the discipline to hold that lead.
make
Because a
them
lot of
work
the
for
time
every hit,
they'll
right?
fall apart. Exactly, yeah.
I you are the only person I know who plays this character, and you happen to be you. So, so I haven't studied the art of banana yet, unfortunately.
See, that was a scenario where I hit you and like we briefly were next to each other out of hit stun, and that air dodge is something I'm looking for, right? Like as soon as you burn your air dodge,
Oh, okay.
that's a situation where like because it was like a reset type of scenario, I'm immediately trying to get a big hit that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to get.
Gotcha. You were testing to see if I'd go for the Four Glory special. The back roll back air. Nice one. It's very hard to take back tempo, I find, in these scenarios.
Yeah, it's definitely another situation of constantly testing my opponent's like knowledge if I'm like vulnerable or not, you know what I mean? Like kind of going in and out of someone's range over and over and trying to get them to, I guess, do the hard work for me.
I got a couple sessions with a guy, Hags King DK. I'm not sure if you had he probably may have found him in pools at some point. But he mentions how when you land a hit, you take up space through like pressure and stuff, and if not, you kind of just keep giving them something to think about until you get close. Why would I even try that? Oh my god, I'm an animal. But I mean, that would work on a Donkey Kong. I don't think that applies to Sephiroth. No freaking way. Okay.
You know, like this pop gun thing where I jump in pop gun beer verse is the same thing as the Shadow Flare, where it's like I jump for a brief moment, give a visual cue, and then reposition just to see like how they respond to it, if at all.
So that get up attack you noted, and you're like, he was looking for that there, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, I position myself a little bit, maybe give a visual cue or two,
Okay.
value if getting the hit is even worth it, etc.
Gotcha. That's just box fingers there. Okay. So give a visual, observe if they like take the bait, and then next time you're in that scenario, because it's gonna repeat itself. That's just the nature of this game. You'll be able to act on it.
Yeah, it's a big combination of standing your ground, actually threatening the ledge in the corner, while also prioritizing the stage control you have. Like for example, if we look into something like two framing in Ultimate, if you go for your two frame option, you want to do it in a way where you'd rather be early with it than late, because if you're too late with the two frame, you're committing to, if it works, great, and if it doesn't, my advantage state is over.
Right.
So it's kind of similar to what we've been talking about with Sephiroth's like tilt and down smash and everything like that, where you want to time things in a way where if they work, cool, and if they don't, you can still be positioned to hold your advantage. Like if I go for this Diddy F tilt, I would much rather be way too early than way too late, because I can still, take advantage of Diddy's ledge trapping or something. So
okay, so Sephiroth is new to this game. How the hell did you start learning him? Like, he's a new character. This game is overwhelming. If you're to someone who hasn't played for 10 years, I mean, I did growing up, but not like you. Where do you start? Like, do you like, okay, for this session, I'm going to focus on getting landing there, forward airs, or something silly like that? Or do you have, like, how do you approach learning in this game?
That's actually a good question. I've never been asked like how I learned him from day one.
Doesn't even have to be Sephiroth, like anything. What's your approach? How's your mind work?
Like, I've always felt pretty quick to learn a character, whether it's like a new character or just a character I don't have as much experience with. I feel like I'm usually pretty quick. It's probably just a lot of these general rules that we've even been talking about in this lesson that can apply to any character, and you can kind of branch out from there with their character specifics.
Right.
Like with Sephiroth, it's like, when you go to training mode with a new character, I feel like a lot of people that have been playing for a long time would say the same thing as me, where like the first thing you do is you probably grab them and do all your throws or something. It's like, okay, is this throw purely for positioning? Does this throw combo? Does this throw do this with this DI? Does this throw kill? And like it starts branching out from there. Like with Sephiroth up throw, it's like, okay, I get a nair, but if I get a wing, I get another jump and another hit, and it just starts slowly branching out from there.
Is it always combos that you're practicing though? Like this guy is mostly strings and then intuition. Like he's plays to a lot of game sense.
It's not a valuable thing, but something like a grab is so universal, right? Like if I'm playing on Elite Smash, and I'm playing a character, like if I'm playing Kirby, who's just a character I don't play at all, but I can just kind of let my opponent lose to themselves because I'll just like shield grab them for being for messing up over and over. And like I could do that regardless of what character I'm playing.
Yeah, that's just funnies. Yes.
Yeah. Grab is such a big starting point, and managing your shield health is such a good starting point as well.
Okay.
That like I feel like it's a natural thing with a new character, and then from there it gets very, even if there's a small comparison, you can make a comparison with like every single move to another character's move. Like with Sephiroth F tilt, it's like, okay, this obviously is a move that's like dictating space, and it's also a move where if my opponent does something punishable, and I'm like not really sure of the exact numbers, like it's gonna be the move I throw out. Like, if I think of a character like Roy or something like that, it's the same thing where like they're a little farther away, but you can hit them. Like it's kind of just the go-to.
Okay.
And jab is always something you go for when like it's a really scrappy scenario, and you can throw out like a quick move, and jab is always going to be your quickest move 9 times out of 10. So it kind of just it all starts branching out from there, and I think when you first start, you kind of let your opponent beat themselves, and then the more you get comfortable with your character, the more you can really, really punish them for beating themselves.
Gotcha.
And then like Shadow Flare was the one I probably was into the most, just because of the potential